The map of the Dothraki Sea is a video that no one asked for or probably expected, but I do like some of the lore from this region, so I thought I would talk about it. The Dothraki Sea takes up a huge chunk of Essos. The primitive and barbaric Dothraki roam these empty grasslands on their horses and just pester the neighboring areas. It's in between the Free Cities and the Bone Mountains, with Slaver's Bay to the south. Not only do they attack and raid others, but they constantly fight among themselves. Each group or army is referred to as a Khalasar, and their leader is called a Khal, like Khal Drogo. The Dothraki are generally known to be skilled and fearless fighters, but the Khal is the strongest of them all. A Khal's wife is called a Khaleesi, and his personal guard are his blood riders, who become very close to their Khal, so close that they are not supposed to live long after a Khal's death. The rest of their life's purpose becomes avenging their deceased leader and transporting his Khaleesi to safety. Everything about their culture revolves around horses. They worship a horse god who parts the grass and takes the dead for his own Khalasar in the skies. They believe that the stars are a herd of fiery horses with the dead riding them. When a Dothraki dies, his horse is also slain so they can enter the afterlife together. A man not on horseback is looked at with disgust. They even eat horse flesh in this culture. Some refer to the Dothraki Sea as the Great Desolation or the Haunted Lands, after what the Dothraki did to this region. 400 years before the start of the story, the superpower of Essos and the most powerful civilization in this world instantaneously blew up. Valyria and the Dragon Riders were destroyed by the Doom, which caused a struggle for power since they conquered a large part of the continent. The Dothraki people originally came from east of the Bone Mountains, which is the more mysterious part of Essos. These are the tallest mountains in this world, and it got its name because of the Dothraki. The mountain range is littered with bones of people and animals who didn't make the dangerous voyage. This time has been known as the Century of Blood. Where the Dothraki Sea is now was once called the Grasslands. The people here claim this was the first civilization, but they aren't the only place to make this claim. It's believed the first men originated from the Grasslands before they migrated to Westeros, but the people who controlled the Grasslands before the Century of Blood were the Kingdom of Sarnar. After the Dothraki made their way through the Grasslands, only one city was left standing. Every other was turned to ruin. In less than a century, the old and powerful cities like Sarnath, Kasath, Sarthar, Gorthon, Salosh, Saris were all sacked and burned. Sath is the only one left standing because they had help from some others. The people of the Kingdom of Sarnar refer to themselves as the Tall Men, and Sath continues to do the same. Sarnath is now known as Vos Kuo, which is Dothraki for City of Worms. You're going to begin to see a pattern here with the ruined Sarnari cities. The Dothraki have added insult to injury by renaming the cities to hilariously insulting names. Pronouncing the ruins is not going to be easy, so take it easy on me in the comments. Sarnath was where the High King once lived within his castle called the Palace with 1,000 Rooms. Kasath became known as Voljor Samvi, which means the Broken Gods. Sathar is now Yali Kamai, meaning Wailing Children, a pretty brutal name. Sathar originally meant the Waterfall City, so I guess they wanted the names within a similar theme. Garnath is now Vos Lexi, which means the City of Rats. Salosh is now Vos Athikikari, meaning the City of Sickness. This place was a city of scholars with a renowned library, but of course it's no longer there. Saris was the last city the Dothraki conquered in this kingdom. It's been since renamed Vos Gradok, or the City of Filth. There are a few more cities that were turned to ruin here, like Horth, Kaith, and Rathalar, but where they are on the map and what they've been renamed to hasn't been stated. They were easily able to destroy this kingdom because they didn't take them seriously when they began their assault. The Tall Men were probably more concerned about what was going on with all the battles between the Free Cities, who were a more established threat as opposed to Dothraki, who had only been a nuisance previously. Tall Men first thought they could just take advantage of the Horse Lords by having them fight their battles for them, but it backfired horribly. The Dothraki took their gifts and burned their cities. The Dothraki didn't stop here during Century of Blood. The Valyrian Colony, the Cathy, the Ghiscari, and the Kingdom of the Afikruvan were all victim of their attacks. None of these places are considered to be within the Dothraki Sea, but they are close in vicinity. The Valyrian Colony in this area was Asaria. The Dragonlords of Valyria never lived here or ruled over the city, instead they just let them rule themselves while under the Valyrian freehold. The Dothraki left this place in ruin after Valyria was destroyed and has since renamed it Vos Kadok, which means the City of Corpses. The Cathy were a race of people who once also shared the grasslands with the Sarnari, but after being overwhelmed by their strength, they relocated further south. Unfortunately for the Cathy, their new home turned into a desert called the Red Waste, the same desert we see Daenerys traveling through in Season 2.
Does it ever end?
This is further east than I've ever been, but yes, Khaleesi. Everything ends, even the Red Waste.
And you're sure there's no other way?
If we go south to the land of the Lazarene, the Landmen will kill us and take your dragons. If we go west to the Dothraki Sea, the first Khalisar we meet will kill us and take your dragons.
No one will take my dragons.
Things would just get worse when the Dothraki decided to check out the Red Waste and take out whatever city they could find in it. Adakakaliki was one of these ruined Cathy cities. I don't know what the city's name was, but its current name means the cannibals. I guess it's not hard to assume what they were into over here. Another city here without its original name stated is Voss or Vic, which means the city of the whip. The Dothraki weren't just conquering and destroying, they were also taking the people as slaves. The city of the whip got its name for how many slaves were taken from here. There's Voss Shiroshi, which means the city of scorpions. When Daenerys goes to this area, she names one of these ruins Voss Tolara, meaning the city of bones. We do know the next Cathy city's original name before turning to ruin, however, and it's Kolan. It's now Voss Kosar, meaning the city of spiders. In this area, there's a body of water called a poison sea. The Dothraki believed it to be poisoned since their horses don't drink from it, and that can be explained because it's salt water. They actually refer to all the seas as poison, as well as avoid and fear them. They know their strength is on horseback, where they can outfight any other typical soldier. There are 3 Ghiscari cities the Dothraki ran through. There's Voss Afi, which means the city of sickness, Voss Majah, which means the city of horrors, and the last city does come with an original name. Gardok was renamed Krazaj Haz, meaning sharp mountains, for its pyramids. If the Ghiscari are known for 2 things, it's slaves and pyramids, so you can understand why the Dothraki came up with these names. Where the lore takes a fun turn is the kingdom of whycreatevideos. It's this mysterious forested area in northern Essos that has very little written about it. What we do know is that the people of this kingdom are described similarly to the children of the forest. The word of whycreatevideos means woodwalkers in Dothraki. We don't know if it was the Dothraki's doing, but there is a ruined settlement named Voss Sea. This name means the city of ghosts. The Dothraki have for some reason since shunned this place. It also does seem like these woodwalkers are now extinct. An adventurer from Westeros who visited this forest kingdom found carved trees, haunted grottos, and a strange silence here. So it does seem like this was a children of the forest or a related race. After this small, shy, and gentle race was gone, the Dothraki attacked nearby areas. Ibish was a port city that has since been turned to ruin. People escaped here before the raid began, so they named it Voss Arasak, meaning the city of cowards. There's one city left outside the grasslands that was conquered, and it was Yenishar. It's right by the base of the Bone Mountains, and is now called Voss Gini, meaning the city of goats. The only ones to stop the Dothraki during the Century of Blood was Kowar. The Dothraki were about to defeat their army, but Kowar brought 3,000 unsullied soldiers, who joined in their war a little late. This Khalisar was 50,000 in numbers, however only half were fighters, going up against the small unsullied army. The underdogs would end up winning with only 600 unsullied left. Since then, Kowar had only armed their city with the unsullied for how well they performed. This wouldn't hurt the Dothraki's reputation too bad, since a lot of cities in Essos regularly gift the Dothraki in hopes they won't raid their city. The Dothraki don't believe in any sort of buying or selling, and don't have a money system. They live their lives giving and receiving gifts at their own pace. They also don't build anything. The only buildings in the Dothraki Sea is in their only city called Voss Dothrak, which means the city of riders. Every building here was constructed by slaves from all over Essos. There are different styles of structures since the slaves would build what they know how to do. The only people that live here are the slaves and the women called Dosh Kalin. These are the widows of the former Khals. Remember when I said that a Khal's blood riders are responsible for taking a widowed Khaleesi to safety? Well, they bring them to Voss Dothrak to live out the rest of their days. They rule here with even other Khals showing them respect. There are no walls or gates in the city, but there is something called the Horse Gate. This isn't really a gate, more like a statue of 2 horses on hind legs touching hooves. The Horse Gate is 100 feet high, and under it is the God's Way. It's a broad path of grass that has monuments of the gods from the people conquered by the Dothraki, all lined up, showcasing their power. The God's Way travels past through 2 markets here, the Western Market and the Eastern Market. In the Western Market, you can find traders from the Free Cities, which is the western part of Essos. In the Eastern Market, you can find traders from Ashai and Yeti, which is the eastern part of Essos. The God's Way continues all the way to the lake, called the Womb of the World, and finally ends at the Mother of Mountains. Both of these locations are considered holy to the Dothraki. The Mother of Mountains is purple and only men can set foot on here. The Dothraki believe the Womb of the World to be bottomless, and the place where the first man emerged from, and of course he was on horseback, hence the name Womb of the World. To take things back to Voss Dothrak, as savage and violent as these people are, They're not allowed to shed a free man's blood here. As much as they do whatever they want, it seems they don't break some laws. We see this take place when Viserys gets drunk and angry in their city, so Khal Drogo decides to handle him with molten gold so no blood would spill.
Put the sword down. They'll kill us all.
They can't kill us. They can't shed blood in their sacred city.
Kuramai.
No! No! You cannot touch me! I am the dragon! I am the dragon! I won my crown!
Hope you guys enjoyed the lore from the Dothraki Sea as much as I do. I'm gathering as much information as I can about the Shadowlands and surrounding regions to make a video. So if things go smoothly, you can expect to see that pretty soon. Thanks for watching.